Good evening, everybody. This is your combo show for the night. I got to make up for missing this afternoon. Joining me today on the DFS Army got to slash this one here tonight. Daily Roto Sharks are joining up in full swing. Is xBenJamminx live from New York. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. What's going on? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Great to have you. It's definitely one of those nights where we don't have any live sweats going on because neither one of us played Scherzer. So and I didn't get in the late slates because I was so mad I went and mowed my yard. So I was just it's just kind of one of those nights that we can get together, talk a little bit of DFS, and kind of watch Thor get beat up a little bit. It looks like.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you miss Scherzer tonight, you're just not cashing. He's a team on his own.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it looks like the only run support Thor's getting is from himself. So hopefully those Mets pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is very, very interesting to watch when you sit there and you talk about it. You know, it's you never think that in a tournament, fading the chalk is going to bite you and just end your night by 8:30. Usually, if you fade the highest owned player, and even if they have a good night, it's not going to kill you. You can still at least hope for a min cash. Unfortunately, tonight is not one of those nights.
Nope. I mean, he had what, 20 Ks? That's just ridiculous. That's happened, I think, 2 other times in history.
Four. You got Clemens, you got Kerry Wood, and there was one other one too.
I think he was the third. But regardless, that's just insane. Insane. Yeah. People couldn't even come close to touching that ball, except for Jose Iglesias.
Yeah, the one
slow shot, like out of nowhere.
The one guy that you don't expect.
I mean, I'll take him against lefties, but against Scherzer, like no shot. So.
Yeah. All right, this is kind of a little bit of a different show. We're not going to go into a big slate breakdown for tomorrow. There's only 7 or 8 games on the slate tomorrow night, so I'm sure you guys will have a lot of great content out there to break that down, just like we will. What this is kind of doing is, us here at the DFS Army, they know how I kind of attack things. They know how Chop kind of attacks things. I can't talk tonight. And Al, they know us. But what I want to do is I want to try to bring in a little bit of outside insight to kind of how you start to attack tournaments on in MLB, kind of what you look for, and exactly the type of players that you're looking to target on a given night. So first thing is I want to go ahead and give you the chance to let everybody know where they can find you on Twitter, your website, and everything like that.
All right. Well, first thing is I think we need to add the link to that Join Us Now post. Because
yes,
I have one there. But besides that, I'm xBenJamminx. I go by Benjamin. You can find me at that same name on Twitter, and also my partner CG at Daily Roto Sharks, spelled just like that. We are at dailyrotosharks.com. We offer a bunch of information for free for DFS. We help people, teach them how to play. We got a bunch of different tools and everything. So it's a really cool thing that we're building over there. A lot of different contributors for articles as well. So the first thing I usually ever do is just like to look and see who the probable pitchers will be, and just kind of try to get a feel that way. So one of the first things that I usually ever do is go to the probable pitchers section on MLB.com. So I don't know if any of your users know about it, but it's a very, very useful site. So I'll link to that as soon as we get people in here. All right, cool. There's the link.
Yep. And
all right, let me click on here. Beautiful. All right, and then we'll get started. Awesome. There's going to be a chat. I see the chat popping up. Awesome. Cool. Here we go. Let me show you guys my screen real quick. All right, here we go. So this is the probable pitchers page on MLB.com. Can you guys see this?
they'll be able to see it in just a moment because I've got to make it and they're golden. They're golden.
Okay, so they should be able to see. Let me make sure I'm on here. It's a chat. All right. So I go to probable pitches, and this is the first thing I do for the day. It gives you a nice, quick little rundown of who's pitching. It tells you a little brief synopsis about them, who they are, and what they did last outing. You can click here to see what their last few starts were, how they've done for the whole season, and then some quick BVP stuff along with their career. So this is the probable pitchers page on MLB.com. I think you need to mute the YouTube.
They'll be able to see it in just a moment.
You got that?
Because mine's muted.
Yeah, mine's not even playing. That's strange. I don't know why it's doing that, but all right. So probable pitches. That'll be the first thing I do for the day, just to get a quick rundown. All right. So this is bugging me out. Let me make sure I'm on here. It's a chat. All right. Yeah. See. So I go to probable pitches. Oh, is it this? Oh, there we go. It was open on the notifications.
There you go.
So one thing that I first thought of when we wanted to do some videos together was we could call this Sharks and Soldiers.
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been good.
So yeah, this is the first thing I do, and then it kind of really branches off from there, depending on if there's like an early slate or not, because me and my partner, we have sheets that we put out every day. So if we want to go to the one for today, let's see, where is it? I'll just go to the website. So you can go to our website, dailyrotosharks.com/MLB-cheat-sheet. So this is just something that we put out as a free tool, and it's really helped us when trying to look at the WOBAs and the ISO, and we just compare them, and we find out that it's really worked to find like good matchups. So on the page here, let me scroll up here. We kind of tell you exactly what it is and what it's about, right? And then you click here on the FanDuel and it'll download. And if you want to see how to use them, you click on this video before you even download it. So let me just show you an example. Let's see. And this is something we try to do every day. We'll be adding hitter tab to it for overall splits, but these are matchups, and then we have the results from the previous day. So you could back test and see how how it's actually done. So if you want to look like how it did yesterday, our highest rating for May 10th was Hanley, our highest matchup, and he had 37. Our next guy was Betts. So we had on our matchup sheet all three of these Boston guys, or even all four of these Boston guys who had really good days. So it's just something that we offer for you guys. Then you could check out the matchups for today. We're adding these different hard contact ratings that we're going to be telling people what they are. So these are just things that we look at, all these different kind of advanced stats and stuff. So it all depends on where my research really takes me.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what we use too at the DFS Army. It's kind of one of those things where we go to we've got our abilities to really make it known exactly how things are working out, and that's really the most important thing. Is if you don't know what all these stats really mean, then they don't really help you out at all. It's
You have to know what you're doing, though.
Yeah, it's like you can't. And the bad thing is like when I first started getting into baseball last year, at least in baseball DFS, I didn't really. I hadn't really jumped into a lot of the advanced sabermetrics on the pitching side, but I'd known a lot about the hitting and stuff like that. Well, when you start diving into pitching statistics and stuff like this, and we had an argument, me and Chop had an argument about this the other day, about how he was going to target John Gray with San Francisco bats there in AT&T Park, and I told him that he was wrong for doing that. And I wasn't shy about it. And it has nothing to do with me being a Rockies fan or John Gray being a Sooners fan, or a Sooners grad or anything like that. It has everything to do with the fact that even though his ERA was above 8, his SIERA was almost a 2.5.
Right.
Didn't
you say you've been watching him since he was in college or something like that?
Yeah, I've been watching this guy since he was in college, and he's put on weight, but he's always had a fantastic arm. I mean, that was one of the reasons why he was the 3rd overall pick back in, when we drafted him back in like 2013 or whatever it was.
Well, what do you think about weight affecting velocity? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
If it's the right kind of weight, no. He was still a young kid. He's still only, I think, 23 years old. And so, like, when he gets into college, you put on weight from high school. And then when you get into the pros, you put on weight from college. And basically what he's doing is he's filling out his body. And he's not pitching at 98, 99 because he doesn't need to right now. He's pitching effectively at 94, 95 because his ball is so heavy and he has so much movement that he doesn't need to worry about hitting 97. Now, he can reach back and get it when he wants it, but his profile, because he doesn't rely on a heavy sinker, his profile really translates to Coors Field. The problem with him in Coors Field is not that he's been getting knocked around the yard, other than the Pirates. It's the fact that he'll put a guy on base and then allow a bloop single, and then he'll get hit hard. So he gets himself into trouble. You got to understand, though, this is a guy that's only had 13 major league starts. He's still classified as a rookie. But when you take a guy that has that sort of talent and is pitching to the ability, but is quote unquote unlucky because of the ERA and the SIERA, and you put him in a pitcher's ballpark, he's a fantastic play. That's why he was 35% owned when he was going against the Padres when he struck out 11.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, the thing with Coors is it inflates all of the numbers in the wrong way, at least for pitchers. So when pitchers are away from there, you can obviously expect things to regress positively a little bit, at least. And if you know he has a high K percentage and he's playing a team that Ks a lot, why not try to set that up?
Yeah, and one thing that we've been going through because I've really started diving into a lot of things as far as Coors Field and pitching because there are pitchers that are successful there. I
Mhm.
mean, and Ruby De La Rosa is a fantastic example. Last night, Ruby De La Rosa is 4-0 with a career ERA under 2.5 at Coors.
Right.
You know, and
If you can keep the ball down and keep people from actually making hard contact, you can have a good night. You just got to
yeah,
that whip ball.
yeah, it has a lot to do with the walks. It has a lot to do with the defense behind you, and it has a ton to do with the hard contact, right, and the pitches that you throw.
Oh yeah.
Um, there for a little while when we went through all of our bad stretches in the early 2000s, they were trying to acquire sinker baller pitchers and stuff like that. Well, the sinker is one of the most least effective pitches in that stadium.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Fly ball pitch.
yeah. So you get a ground ball pitcher that relies
Oh
heavily on
shit.
a sinker.
Oh shit.
Did he do it?
Oh! Threw our double dong. Threw our
Wow.
double dong. Are you kidding me?
Wow. And
Oh,
the
young man, bravo.
Kenta Maeda looks like he is
Oh my
utterly
God.
shocked.
We had to pause this conversation. This is
Yeah.
almost as good as Bartolo's home run.
I think Bartolo's home run, if Thor just hits one, is great. But
Double dong, like crushed.
yeah.
Oh my God, I saw that off the bat. Holy shit. All right. Ah, man, it's hard to focus.
You know what? And if we could get those for those points, then maybe the double down points and his pitching points will still equal or actually
Scherzer.
might
Scherzer.
overcome Scherzer.
Oh my God. Wow.
Boy, that was actually a pretty looking swing too.
Help your cause, young man.
No kidding.
Crush.
Wow. Anyways, you know, everybody talks about in Coors Field the curveball and the breaking pitch is not being that effective. Well, one of the most effective pitches in Denver is the slider.
Yes.
And that's why you see guys like Houston Street, Adam
Smith.
Ottavino. These guys had so much success there. And so every time there's a Coors game, I go through and I break down both the Rockies pitcher and the opposing pitcher coming in, and I think MLB DFS has gotten lazy when the Rockies are at home. They just stack as many Coors bats in their lineup and then go for a pitcher,
Yeah.
and then fill in where needed because.
But why not? I mean, until they get rid of cores, which I
But
personally
don't you
would,
think it's
why not?
smarter to have a plan of attack going into that? Like if I can tell you that, I don't want to attack, I'm going to fade the Rockies because of something or because Jorge, or not Jorge De La Rosa's, Ruby De La Rosa's profile tells me to. His pitching profile and his record there and how he's done there. Because
Right.
if you remember, the Rockies lit him up in Chase Field.
Oh, listen, don't get me wrong. If you can find reasons to fade it, by all means, in tournaments, go for it. But what I'm saying is like, if you are playing GPPs and you're looking for something to stack, more often than not, doing a straight cores stack across the board will help you more often than not.
Right,
It,
but
it
what I'm
will
saying
benefit.
is if you have a way to attack it, like instead of just going, I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 blindly.
Right,
If you
right, of course.
say, okay, I'm going to take. There was one game when I forgot who it was, but it was a week and a half ago. I said, all right, I'm not playing any Rockies hitters except for Nolan Arenado and um, uh, gosh dang it, Trevor Story and Mark Reynolds. And all three of them have good games, and the rest of the Rockies were shut down. You know, if you can now, it's not always going to come to fruition. It's there's not always going to be a time where you can be able to do that. But if you do the research and you can start to find these things and test them out over the long haul, then you can be smarter about it. And then you're still going to have the same guys that everybody else is on, but you're not going to have that dead Coors weight in your lineup when it does come in as well.
I agree.
So,
but like today, this morning, I made an all-day lineup, and I'm pretty sure Coors went off, right? It was like 8-7.
yeah, it was 8-7, and
I had one person in my lineup from Coors, and it was Jake Lamb, and he got 0. They went off. I just made an all-day lineup just for the hell of it this morning, and I had him in it. He got 0. So you can't always just like expect everything to go right in Coors, because he could have just swung and missed every single at bat, you know. But on the whole, when you're thinking about just a team, all you have to do is make hard contact in Coors, because Coors isn't actually a small ballpark,
no,
but
it's actually the largest as far as like
in terms of size and volume.
Size, yes.
Yeah.
It's the largest outfield in the big leagues.
Right. So that's why, as long as you just get line drives, you know, you're hitting gaps, and it may bounce off walls a weird way and stuff because it's hit so hard. So you get a really good chance, just being in Coors, of producing much better than you would. But now the problem is, you have to factor in, is the price I'm paying, the opportunity cost, enough to justify taking these players whose prices are inflated?
Do I have Chris Young batting in the 7 or 6 or 7 hole going against a lefty that day?
Chris Young, yeah. I mean, if you know, when Ryan Rayburn's facing
well, even now, Ryan Rayburn this year isn't $2,200 because he plays in Coors most of his games. You know, now he's 35.
Right.
So yeah, he's a good platoon for a lefty, but now he's an expensive platoon.
But you wouldn't play him at a 3.5 in Coors betting?
I would. But I'm saying, like, you know, he's not. Now you have to think about it a little bit more. And that's something that I've liked what these sites have started to do. They need to do it more consistently, but they've started to do it more. Is they are, you know, going through and pricing these guys up like tremendously. Like Nolan Arenado he's 5,200, but then they'll go. I'm a firm believer that everybody that plays in Coors should have a base minimum salary when they're in Coors of $3,500.
It's like a weighted salary.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Coors should just be erased from all slates, personally.
I would love that. Being a Rockies fan, then I could just play with my head and not my heart.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that'll never happen. But I think if they make it to where
we all become homers because of Colorado. Like, the first thing you have to do when you see them on the slate is, am I playing them or am I fading them?
And that's where I think the ability to break down the secondary statistics, the type of pitches that the opposing pitcher is going to throw, you know, going in there is so vitally important, because now if you take it that next step, not only now you're doing the research for that, but you're doing the research as far as specifics, then you can know, one, whether or not you are going to play Coors, and two, how you can attack it. Like, does this guy give up a lot of – does he have an elite ground ball rate versus right-handed pitching, but it's horrible versus left-handed pitching? Is his line drive rate absolutely, completely crap, you know, versus left-handed hitting and stuff like that? If you know where to attack it, then I think you can not necessarily outsmart the field, but you can in turn navigate it a little bit better to where you can go find now you can get your Coors Field exposure in tournaments and now go find lower owned tournament plays because you're not going all in on Coors. Now,
Yeah.
it is still Coors Field. There are still going to be times where it goes off for 14 to 12. It's gonna happen, especially with the weather getting warmer. But on those days where it's 7 to 2 or 7 to 6, even, and it's concentrated, or you got your pinch hitters and stuff like that, then
Right.
now you hold an advantage even in tournaments playing Coors Field, and that's what I'm trying to
I agree. And
back
like,
test and get to my guys for is to be able to not only have the ability to decide whether or not I'm going to, but have a plan of attack going into it.
I think it also depends on the pitching for the day. If you find a pitcher that you can stack across the board with them, you know that a lot more people are going to try to do that regardless. That'll be an option for everybody else. So then it really makes you decide, like, how contrarian do I need to be? But
Let me
in
ask you, that's a good place to go from there. We spent a little bit more time talking about Coors than what I thought we were going to. And everybody can see that I'm a diehard, avid Rockies fan. I have the logo tattooed on my body. I have the pennant behind me. I have the Griffey jersey going right now. But yeah, whatever. You guys suck this year. I have the Griffey jersey going behind me, but I've got, and yes, everybody, that is a picture of Kevin Durant, and right next to him is an autographed picture of Troy Tulowitzki. So, uh, but when you talk about handling things like that, uh, how contrarian is too contrarian when you're talking about tournaments? Like, do you shoot for the lowest? Obviously, the lower owned, the better advantage you're going to have if that player goes off. But what's your line of being contrarian and being stupid?
Okay, so if you see that you have a Coors game playing and a lot of the players are just priced too high for what you think their performance is going to be, and you have, let's say, a weak right-handed pitcher facing, Texas at home in Texas. I think looking towards that kind of stadium or even Toronto is always a good place to start when you have those kind of ballparks. Even Arizona as well. So you have some contrarian but not stupid plays just coming from those that'll be better priced in general. And you once it starts getting hotter, when you'll see that in Texas and Arizona, balls will be flying around almost as good as cores. So when you have day games, you really have to put weight into the temperature that we're going to be getting coming up into the summer months and everything. So I think that's where you really can go. You look for just bad pitching in really good batters ballparks, even Milwaukee or Houston or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's another thing to kind of pay attention to is the park factors, and not only park factors, but the way that they're kind of changing. Milwaukee with the roof closed, the ball flies out of there. You've got right now the way that we've seen it. Miami with the roof open. I love targeting pitchers there now
Yep.
when they have, and it won't be open for long. Arizona with the roof open usually tends to lean more towards the pitchers. When they close Seattle's roof, which they only do when it's raining, it usually tends to lean towards the hitters a little bit because the wind doesn't affect
Yeah.
it. These park factors are
And Petco's
really.
better.
What's that?
Petco's gotten better over the last year and
Yes.
a half or 2 years since they did the remodeling.
Yeah, Petco's average runs per game has almost shot up a full run per game over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Um, San Francisco during the day is a great place for hitters' ballparks because that are not for hitters' ballparks, for
Pitch.
hitters to be contrarian with because the marine layer, quote unquote, it doesn't come in as thick. The air is not as thick coming off the bay there. Park factors are something that if you don't pay attention to, then you're doing yourself a very big disservice. I know you guys have got a huge advantage over there to left-handed hitters in the monstrosity that George built.
Oh,
And I don't mean monstrosity like in a bad way. Just it's a freaking.
Oh, it's great.
It's Jerry World for baseball.
Yeah, it's our way of trying to catch up to the steroid-induced Colorado Stadium, whatever you have
Hey,
induced
that's
over
not
there.
steroid induced, and it used to be a lot worse because
It's the entire. It's like adding Game Shark cheat codes to your stadium.
no, that's what it used to be. Now it's just having the old AB up down left right select B start code
It's like
because
slow pitch softball.
they added the humidor a couple years ago, and runs and home runs have actually gone down a lot. And this year it's actually kind of interesting because if you look, the home runs aren't up in Coors Field. And really, a lot of the times, it's not the home runs that are going to kill you. It's the bloops, the walks, and then the home runs. But they added that fence out in right center, which is one of the places that it carries the most because that jet stream coming off of that scoreboard kind of swirls around and takes balls out to the right field bullpen.
Oh,
Yeah, there's been more home runs hit into the bullpens than any other part of the stadium.
interesting.
But they put if you notice now, they put a chain link fence up, and they've extended the height of it to where the auxiliary scoreboard is in straight right. It goes all the way over, and then about 5 or 6 feet in on center field. So now it's all like 28 foot high all the way around.
Oh, that's interesting.
But the bad thing is now they've got green posts about every 6 foot, and we haven't seen it yet. But if a ball kicks off of one of those, it's going to kick off crazy, and you're going to have inside the park home runs. But that's why you see the increase in triples in Coors Field.
Oh wow. Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, there's been a lot of triples. I'm looking at some of their factors right now. Very interesting because, yeah, I mean, Coors is not a small park, but it's just the air density is so low. When the ball is hit, it just travels so much easier with less air resistance.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that we look at and we put on our page, and here, let me show my screen for you guys. We did a ballpark park factors page, and it's based on Swish Analytics. You ever use that page?
Yeah.
Swish Analytics is awesome. So here, let me show my page. Here. I'll show my screen. All right. Can you see this?
Ace is a place to grow bigger, better, get your kids still.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I'm just.
So
Okay.
what this is it's our website. You can go to it by checking out, just clicking on MLB and then going to MLB Park Factors. And what I did is I compiled all of the teams and all the different park factors from this a 6-year span of 2008 to 2014. It doesn't have anything 15 or 16. I think they're still compiling all that data. But so if you look, what it shows you is the factors based on different hit types. So looking at the Astros, for example, I'm trying to zoom in. I guess that didn't work. So right here. So looking at this.
I lost your screen.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I just show you in a tank top.
What about
There
now?
we go.
Okay. So if you look at these, what it helps to do is show you what types of hits are more prevalent in that stadium and how you can attack it with different handedness compared to the league average. So for the Astros, righties do much better hitting home run extra base hits in their stadium than lefties do. And that's for doubles, triples, and home runs. If you look, anything over 1 is above league average. But then if we want to go to, your boys, it's obvious what it's going to be.
Oh yeah,
Everything's just straight through the roof there.
yeah,
So this helps if you don't really understand a stadium. It's not the end all be all. You're not going to be like, well, this park is much better than triple, so I should expect my batter to get a triple today. But you should just know that, all right, when you're playing Royals, it's less prevalent for them to hit home runs for lefties as it is for righties in better matchups. But in general, it's not a good home run hitting ballpark, but it is good for doubles and triples. So,
yeah.
you don't have to get home run hitting guys there.
Yeah, one of the ones that I go to, and I like it because it not only shows obviously runs, and home runs and hits and doubles and triples, but it also shows walks. It shows a walk factor, and it's at ESPN.com.
Do you think that really matters? Because I feel like that would be just a lot more to do with the pitchers.
Well, it does, but if you've got a guy that has a high whip and he's in a park that sees a lot more walks for whatever reason, then that means that there's more base runners, and when gap shots, doubles, triples, home runs do come into play, that's more runs, and I feel like those are parks where you want to kind of target more towards your 3 and your 4 and your 5 player stacks rather than just your 2-man mini stacks or just a single player.
Right, that's very interesting. I didn't think that walks would even play a role in terms of like a park. Like what do you think would induce that more? Like I mean, I would be able to rationalize, all right, St. Louis, the reason it's so low is because they've had such great pitching and everything. And
I think that part of it is that, and this is just me going with my baseball mindset because there's no statistical data to back this up, but whenever you're in a hitter's ballpark, you're obviously aware of that. You've heard of the Coors Field myth or monster or whatever. Pitchers can't come in there and have good games or whatever. They can't pitch there because of this. You hear that, you kind of resonate with that. So especially if you're facing a good offense, you're more likely to pitch around somebody, and because you don't want them to hurt you. And it goes back to a mindset type thing. Some of the highest walk rates as far as just parks. You got Coors Field, Camden Yards, Wrigley Field, U.S. Cellular, Nationals Park, and then it's funny because then you've got City Field and Turner Field are really the only two pitchers, quote unquote, pitchers parks that uh, in that top 10. But it is something that I do pay attention to, because more base runners means that when things do start to go off, there's gonna be more runs scored. So
I agree, and I really want to dig into this right now. I think it's very interesting. I don't know why it's not letting me. Hold on. I really want to figure this out. Because I really don't. I don't know if I can trust that without really seeing who the pitchers were, I guess. But I think there could be something to it for the reasons that you said, right? So they don't want the batters to hit home runs. They don't want to give them things to hit. I get that. That definitely makes sense to me. But I want to see if there's any kind of correlation. Um,
yeah, and I just found it this year, so it's something that I've kind of been implying into it. I mean, it's something that I haven't even really told to any of my guys yet, as far as in depth, because I'm already kind of getting them to kind of start to, not that my guys are slow or anything like that, but when you start to talk about bringing in new information. I'm not an Excel junkie. I'm not a statistical guy. I'm a guy that loves sports and loves numbers and really loves baseball and knows how to kind of apply a lot of it and do a lot of. I've got the ability to do research, and so I don't have the ability to do any sort of back testing other than putting my own bankroll out there and back testing it with my own theories because I'm a firm believer that there's so much information out there right now that the average quote unquote fish is getting better. It's not as easy to make money as it was, you know, 2 years ago.
Right.
And so if you're not taking that information or you're not getting better or trying to figure out a new way to kind of apply things, then you're standing still and soon enough the field is going to pass you by. And I love this field. I love this industry and I love what I do. And I don't like losing. So
I agree.
that's that's why I told everybody in our chat after Scherzer got 20 that I'm stacking against him the next time out because he's going to be so ridiculously highly owned that even if he allows 5 runs and I happen to hit those guys that do the production, I'm going to be 100% different than the field that it's going to be absolutely insane. So
No, I agree, and that's definitely the way you should look at things when it comes to game theory in general. Just because of the fact that people are gonna see that 55 or not 55, that 95 or whatever it is, and be like, all right, I'm playing him. He's the man, and no one's gonna want to stack against that either. But he's actually not pitched very well this year. You
no,
know,
not compared to his Cy Young years. So,
no
um,
shot.
all right, one last thing I want to get into because I do have some things I got to get started on tomorrow and obviously
Yeah,
get
no
these
problem.
guys out.
I was just looking into your walks here and just kind of looking at some things real quick. So, if you look the walks per run, you have Chicago, Dodgers, Orioles, Nationals. I think that's very interesting. They don't have a lot of runs, but they have a lot of walks. And you could also look at the other way around, where Texas Yankee field they have a lot of runs, but not a lot of walks, except for maybe Arizona.
Right.
So I think there's definitely some correlations we can look into here. So I'm definitely gonna check that out. And thanks for bringing that up. That's pretty awesome.
If you make a tool off of it on your site, I want credit.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I
I'm
don't
just kidding.
know what I can make from it, but if I figure out any kind of factors or anything that we could actually use, of course, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time. All right, the last question I have for you
I
is
can
this.
see my screen. Great.
Yeah, last question I have for you is this: is when you've done all your research, okay,
Mhm.
and obviously you're probably a lot like me. When you do your research, you take your, you start to narrow down your player pool, and you narrow it down to. I know for me, for my personal ones that I use, it's a shorter list of the cheat sheets that we put out. I'll normally put out about 7 to 8 guys per position on a full 15 game slate with about 6 to 7 pitchers. For me, I narrow that down into 3 pitchers and basically about 3 per position, and then about say 6 to 9 outfielders. Okay,
Right.
after you get all of that done and you have your player pool, okay, how do you decide on not really who you're going to target as far as pitchers, but how do you decide which way you want to really go? Do you want to, how do you, okay, how do you basically start to construct your lineup? How do you construct that? Because a lot of people will go out there and go, I'm going with the highest price pitcher. with the biggest favorite. Some people be like, I want the best K upside with, I don't care if they're a favorite. And me, I kind of like to look at all of it, matchups. If they're a favorite, great. I don't always agree with Vegas's lines because sometimes I think they set their lines based on their offense and not just the pitching talent. So there's different ways to always be successful, but how do you start to go about that? Because roster construction is something that is probably one of the last skills somebody develops as a DFS player consistently to be able to do that and put together good rosters.
Right. All right. So I mean, all right. So I don't want to keep seeming like I'm trying to promote our stuff, but the reason why we make the things we do is because we actually use them and then we just give them out to people. So if you look at this, I'll just show you two of the things we do, and this is how I like to compare my players. I made these tools for pools, right? Batter and pitcher. So if I want to compare people, I know I have all the relevant stats that I use every single day in here, including splits and stuff like that. So what I'll do is, let's say I want to compare two pitchers. This is for the last 2 seasons, and sometimes I'll go in, I'll change it to like last 7 or whatever. But let's just say, for example, Max Scherzer, and who comes to mind? Who pitched today? Jordan Zimmerman. Right. So
2 ends.
Oh, 2 ends?
Yeah, on Zimmerman it's 2 ends.
Okay, let me just do that here. So this is how I'll compare players, and I used to just do it by looking at Fangraphs, but now since I make this, it makes it a lot easier for me. So if you just see here, what this did is I have it formatted so you can see who's leading in every category for the last 2 years. And so today, Scherzer, like just in this matchup against each other, Scherzer over the last 2 years has a much better K per 9 upside, no matter what. His walks have been worse, his home runs have been worse, but he doesn't give up as many hits, and he leaves some more people on base. But the real thing that I really like to compare when looking at players are hard and soft rates and contact rates, and then I'll really dig into recent how they've been playing. So looking at this, you could see Scherzer just has the much better K upside and everything. They have similar hard rates, but he has better contact rates, right? So what I also have here for the pitchers is how they do against the different hands. So in general, he just has better WOBA versus each handedness. When Scherzer's away, he actually pitches slightly better, even though these are basically the same. But Zimmerman pitches worse. So just certain things I'll do. Now, we have it set up here for the splits for the pitchers. So we have it sorted by, let's do K per 9, right? So this is by hand.
Dude,
So,
I want that tool. Just because, like, to be able to type something in like that, and because I'm not Excel literate or anything like that. Like, I know how to sort and put some stuff together and stuff like that. But when you're talking about typing something in and it going through there, it would take me 3 months to be able to learn how to do that.
Yeah, that's the one. I haven't fully released this one yet. As you can see, like I'm still working on it, but this is something that I personally use. So I have put it out in the DFS Army chat and stuff as like a free beta tool and stuff. But yeah, so all you have to do is just type in whatever you want in here, and it just compares everybody. So yellow's middle, whatever, and you can just keep doing that. So what I did do is I had them automatically loading into here. So if you look, you see how it has all these names in here.
Mm-hmm.
I go into probables and I click on the pitchers, and I'll just reload it or refresh it, whatever. You'll see it start working. And then this should load in the pitchers for tomorrow from Fangraphs. So that's just another way to do it, or you can just type them in yourself.
And
Batters, you do the same thing in here, and this is just a really good way to just compare people. And I'm going to be releasing this for everyone, but this is just the way we do it.
and don't look now, but Thor is now up with the bases loaded.
Oh my God, let's go! Come on.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. I would love to be able to,
Yeah.
have the ability or the time to be able to put that together.
No, I'll give it to you, man. No doubt. I'll give it to all your followers too. Just want to perfect it a little bit, but these
Cool.
cheat sheets right here are out every day.
Struck
And-
out.
Yeah, I saw. Fucking bum. But yeah, you could get this every day, and it shows you all the starting pitchers, and the splits versus the hand that they're facing. So you could use this to pick your pitchers, and you could use it to target your pitchers.
Yeah, I put something out like that too. So it's not quite as graphically enhancing or anything like that, but it is. It's the same information. It's just in an Excel spreadsheet. It's just mine's not as sexy as what you would call it. So.
It's all good, man. Yeah, no doubt. Sharks and soldiers unite.
There you go. So.
But yeah, so just to make that's just some of the things that we use, and we were doing that all manually, and we're just trying to figure out ways to automate it a little better. That's all.
Cool. So, all right. Well, we have plenty more of this or more of these to come later on. DFS isn't going anywhere. Neither is the DFS Army or Daily Roto Sharks. So, it is going to be an absolute blast getting with you guys over the rest of the baseball season into the NFL. We need to start doing is a little expert league, us against you guys. So me, Chop, and Al got one going right now, and I think Chop's about to win his second since we've been doing it.
Yeah, that's interesting. We could do a 5-man?
Yeah, we could do 5-man. And what we do is we do it winner take all. It's just for $2 every night.
Yes.
Main slates only. If there's anything less than 4 games, we don't do it. So.
Oh man, that's my sweet spot.
Anything less than 4 games, it's not even worth my time.
3 to 4 games. I've won so many thousands of dollars on like late and express slates.
Yeah,
for whatever reason, I just do a lot better on smaller slates in every single sport.
I feel like I thrive when other people can make mistakes in large field tournaments, because I have a tendency, when I get into it, I have a tendency to start to see things that not very many other people see. So just from me doing it and playing baseball and watching baseball for 30 years. So, but yeah, we can definitely start doing that. You've got you're part of our Slack channel, so.